Wow, what a busy night. I noticed many of my officers issuing ban notices. So I will talk about trespassing today. It is important to know the law when it comes to dealing with trespassers. In most cases, criminal trespassing is defined as entering or remaining on a premises or property in which one does not have the authorization, license, or privilege to do so. Trespassing is an unlawful act committed on the person, property, or the rights of another, especially a wrongful entry on a real property. Usually, notice against entering or remaining can either be delivered in oral or written fashion by an authorized agent. Law vary slightly from state to state and jurisdiction, with some being very basic and others having very detailed requirement for providing proper notice. In most states, criminal trespassing is punishable by a misdemeanor, whereas in some states it is considered as a felony based on the situation and intent of the trespasser. In general, trespassing is a misdemeanor offense. In some cases, however, trespassing can become a felony offense depending on the circumstances, such as the trespassers carry a firearm or a weapon. When it comes to criminal trespassing, you should know when to detain and when not to detain. Act of knowingly entering the other person's premises without consent, you need to know what steps to take at areas which are open to public and ones which are not open to the public. Doesn't matter if you are an armed officer, unarmed officer, special police officer, or special conservator of the peace. Keep standards in mind. I would suggest everyone to involve local law enforcement rather than taking actions at your own and asking for liabilities. Trespassing can only be charged when trespasser is on someone else's property without their permission or consent. Officer must be aware that they can't charge someone with trespassing upon their own property unless there is a court order or restraining order requiring them to stay off the property. When you want unwanted presence, trespass. Read US case laws to have more knowledge. Read case law People versus Hubbard, where subject entered the property and was arrested. It did not work good. I would suggest all officers to keep tort law in mind. Tort law is a common law jurisdiction. A tort in common law jurisdiction is a civil wrong that causes someone else to suffer loss or harm resulting in a legal liability. The law allows a tort is simple, a civil wrong. There are three general types of torts that may cause injury to other person. In civil law, torts are grounds for lawsuits. The person can be sued by the owner for the damages. When dealing with a trespasser, do not overreact. Usually you can determine whether the individual's intentions are harmful by simply asking what they are doing on the premises. This can help you as an officer to better understand how to proceed with the trespasser in question. Following that, a simple and polite request to leave the premises. If the trespasser seems violent or is uncooperative, it is also necessary to obtain assistance from cops. When calling, make sure to inform the police of the situation you're responding to. If the trespasser has been violent or unstable, these details and other like them should be reported to the cops as well. This process is important because assisting the police is essential in the relationship between a private officer and police. Trespassing is very difficult to enforce. If you are required to enforce trespassing, Make sure that signs are posted by the management at the property, especially by the entry and exit points. Keep an eye on signs. Some areas cop will be unable to help you to bar the person for trespassing if signs are missing. Keep an eye that signs don't get disappeared. Check signs on daily basis during your shift. When it comes to small issues, I would suggest you to escort violators out of the premises. It is the shortest, quick, safe and easy way out. If trespassers agrees to leave, they should be escorted off the premises through the nearest exit point. If possible, always attempt to evict with a witness or a partner. If someone starts a fight and beat the hell out of other person, you don't detain the person for trespassing. You detain them for the battery. Always check state laws. I keep reminding you, always check state laws. I know many of my officers work more than one state. While on duty, you are agents of owners and managers. Subject must know they are trespassing. You have to make sure to tell the person that trespassing or loitering is prohibited. Keeping detailed record is critical. Write a detailed record of event that might be needed and used by you or authorities at the court of law. Don't dare to handcuff and detain because subject was unaware and believed that property was open to public and was never advised of trespassing. Don't dare to illegally detain someone. I would suggest you to go to the case law, Owens versus the state of Texas. He went through a property where he was verbally trespassed by the property owner and law enforcement. He ended up spending 120 days in jail. His girlfriend lived there, got into an argument and breach of peace. Cops and management told him to leave. He did not listen. He came back to the property and got into another argument and breach of peace. And guess what? He was arrested for trespassing, went to court, went to trial and was convicted and was guilty of criminal trespass. Some states he would have walked free. Always check state laws. If you work at Virginia, DC, Maryland or any other state, don't assume laws are the same. I noticed experienced officer giving written trespass in the presence of local cops. They involve cops and document all the dates and time in the report. I have seen subjects who are unable to control themselves end up screwing their records by getting arrested. Subjects sometimes think officer can't do anything, but experienced officers document all the dates, and while in front of the judge, officer provide everything to get the subject convicted. Since cops were involved during written trespass and now they also knew the subject, upon further violation of the peace, cops will be happy to take the subject to the jail once you call them. Always keep trespass notice handy. If you are out of trespass notice, get them from the office. If you are an unarmed officer, then a trespass warning must first be provided in the presence of law enforcement. Once an officer trespass warning has been provided to an individual, if that individual commits a second trespass violation, they can then be arrested by the cops. Let the cops notify the individual that the officer don't want to see you, and if you come back, you will be arrested. An officer must make sure to inform the trespasser of the consequences of trespassing and any other charges that may be appropriate based on the trespasser's behavior. The use of legal knowledge will allow the trespasser to see that you as an officer in a position of authority. It is also important to use the term private property, as this usually has the effect of promoting compliance. Use trespass forms. Fill all the information in trespass forms. Police officer can get you the information from the subject. Get police case number, officer's name and badge number. In most jurisdictions, you will receive a no trespass citation or other containing the name and description of the trespasser along with the phone number to the law enforcement agency to report any further violation of the no trespass order or citation. Officer must document everything in daily log. Also notify your managers and supervisors. Provide the office with original trespass and keep a copy for your records. It is important that officer works closely with the management in responding and reporting all trespass situations. Don't trespass anyone for more than 1 year. I have seen cases thrown out of the court after 1 year. I have seen even cops trespassing people for 5 to 10 years. I suggest 1 year. After 1 year, if a person is trespassing on your property, you should warn the person that he or she is trespassing and you would call the cops if he or she don't leave. First of all, you need to know when to ban a person. If the person then refuses to leave, the person commits an offense against the act. Call the cops and bar them for trespassing again. Bar them again for 1 year. If the person has left the property and you want to prevent future trespassing, you should serve a new trespass notice on the person and fill all the forms again and make sure it is in police records. Remember, don't point your fingers or yell to make the situation worse. Be safe and study case laws. I will suggest to avoid verbal trespass warning. A written trespass notice or legally effective warning to stay off. Give written trespass notice on the spot. Again, always keep blank forms handy. In some jurisdictions, when you meet the police officer, you tell the cops that you would like to press or file trespass charges. If the individual is intoxicated and or non-compliant, more charges may be added by the law enforcement official. While at work, use your best judgment, be polite and give people opportunity. Tell them to stop and you need them to leave. Be safe and keep laws in mind. All of us got family to go home to.